Hey everybody, this is the 5.7 video. So we've done adding and subtracting, we've done multiplying with polynomials. Now we're finally going to do some dividing. And this is where that Algebra 2 part comes into our class. So we did a bunch of Algebra 1 skills. Now we're going to look back at some Algebra 2 skills, which are the dividing parts. Okay, today we're going to start off easy though. We're just going to be dividing by a monomial, which is just one term, which is kind of nice, okay? So we do have some vocab because the first couple questions on your homework ask you about some of the parts of the expression. So the first vocab word you have is called the dividend. The dividend is the number being divided. Number being divided, okay? And all of these are going to be written as a fraction. So this is the top of the fraction. So the top of the fraction, if we want to put it that way. Okay, that's the visual part, what we can actually see. Then we have something called the divisor. The divisor is the number that the dividend is divided by. So the number the dividend is divided by. This is the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so you're going to have to write all that down. Right. Quotient. We know what quotient means. We've used it before. Quotient means division. So you can write that. You can write means division. Okay. Usually this is written as a fraction. And we're also talking about the answer. Like at the very end after you divide everything, that would be your quotient, or like what you got for your answer. We got two more vocabs, and then we're going to do some problems. Your quotient rule, which we used a little bit earlier in this unit, the first thing you have to do is you need to, let's not do it in blue. We already did blue. Sorry. The first thing we got to do is reduce coefficients. So like see if they can both be divided by the same number. So reduce your coefficients first. Then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to subtract your exponents. The very last thing that we do need to review, which we did a little bit earlier this unit, is what do we do with negative exponents? Okay. The main thing you do with negative exponents is you move them to the bottom of a fraction. Okay. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of that in case we forgot from that earlier unit. So like if I have something like x to the negative 2, we put that as 1 over x squared, and then the negative is gone and we're happy. Same thing if like or, right? It also applies to like if we have 1 over x to the negative 2 on the bottom of a fraction, we move it to the top and it becomes x squared. Okay, we've been doing pretty good with this, so I'm not totally worried about your negative exponents. So I think we should be okay on this one. All right, if you need to take a second to pause your video and, get these vocab, do that before we start getting into some problems. Okay, so pause your video if you need to. Otherwise, let's get rolling. Okay. So, number 1 and number 2, you are not solving them. They have solved it for you. You have 3 parts though. You have to tell me what the dividend is. That's your first part. What the divisor is. That's the second part. and then what the quotient is. That's the third part. And they've done all of that for you, so you don't have to do any work, you just have to look at it. So let's look at number 1. All right, number 1 says 16x cubed plus 8x all over 4 equals 4x cubed plus 2x, okay? So the first thing they ask for is the dividend. And remember, that is the number, or what is on top of my fraction. And right now I have 16x cubed plus 8x. So I would write that down. And that is what I'm going to type into MyMathLab. That's going to be my answer for the very first part of this question. You're going to push enter. It's going to say, good job. And then you're going to go on to the second part, which is, tell me what the divisor is. Remember, the divisor is the thing on the bottom. So everything is being divided by 4. So I would put 4 right there. And then I'd push enter and it'd say, nice work. And I'd be like, sweet, thank you, MyMathLab. And then I would go on to part 3, which is the quotient. Remember, your quotient is your answer. And on this one, remember, they did the work for me. And they said, hey, all of this equals this right here. So I just need to put 4x cubed plus 2x, and that is my answer. And then you're finally done with the first one on MyMathLab. So yay. Number 2, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to start with my quotient, or not my quotient, my bad, the dividend. Okay. The dividend is the thing on top, and looks like I have 18x minus 6 on top. So that's what I would put in MyMathLab, 18x minus 6, the whole thing. I would push enter, it'd say nice work, and I would do the divisor next. Your divisor is what's on the bottom, which is -3 in this problem. So I would write -3. And then the last thing, we have to make it orange, there we go, is the quotient. And the quotient is your answer. And they already solved it. They said, yep, it is -6x plus 2. And I'd put that all in MyMathLab, I'd call it good, and I'd get 2 of my problems done nice and easy. The rest of your assignment is dividing polynomials by monomials. So I've got a bunch of things divided by one thing. Okay. Now here's how I do them. If you want to do it differently, that is totally okay. But what I do is I rewrite every single term so that each one is being divided by like the one thing that's on the bottom. Okay. We are going to then apply the quotient rule. So I'm going to be reducing some coefficients and subtracting some exponents. Now anything that doesn't work out, we're going to leave it as a fraction. And I am going to do every single one of these with you, so don't worry if it doesn't work out. Like, we'll work through it. It's going to be okay. So let's start with number 3. Divide each expression and simplify. That's all we're doing for the rest of the video. So what I'm going to do, step 1 says to rewrite everything with a 5 on the bottom. Okay, so I'm literally going to take turns writing this and this as 2 different terms. So 15x squared over 5 plus 10 over 5. And I know this step seems really silly for this one because you're like, Mrs. Costello, you're just dividing by 5. I realize that, but it's going to get a little trickier, so this setup is good to, practice right away. So I'm going to divide these guys by 5 because these are the coefficients or the constants. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, x squared, plus 10 divided by 5 is 2. And that's going to be my answer on the first one. Okay. Second one, okay, we're stepping it up. The thing on the bottom now has a variable. So this is where it's really, really good to write everything like with the thing it's being divided by on the bottom. So I'm going to take turns again. So I'm going to write 20x to the 4th over 4x minus 24x to the 3rd over 4x. All right, so we are going to divide our coefficients. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then we're going to take away our smallest x. So I have x to the 4th and x to the 1st. So I'm going to take away an x on top. So now I have 3. And an x on the bottom. I have no more x's. So I'd write 5x cubed. Same thing on the second one. Okay, 24 divided by 4 is 6. But let's make sure we put the negative in the front. So negative 6. And then again, I'm taking away 1x. Okay, take away 1x. Take away 1x. So x squared. That whole thing goes in my math lab. 5x cubed minus 6x squared. Okay. Number 5. Now, number 5 is the real reason why we separate everything. Okay, you're going to see why. So we're going to write 1, 2, 3 different fractions. 6k to the 4th over 3k minus 9k cubed over 3k plus 3 over 3k. All right, let's look at those coefficients on the first one. 6 divided by 3 is 2. I have 4 k's on top, 1k on the bottom, so I'm going to take away 1k. Take away 1k. So I have k cubed left. Same thing on my second one. Let's put the minus sign in. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then I have k cubed on top, k on the bottom. So I'm going to take away a k, take away a k. So I have 3k squared. This last one, I know it's kind of tricky, okay? 3 divided by 3 is 1, okay? There is a k on the bottom, so we're going to leave the k on the bottom because there's no k's left. Like there's no k's on top to subtract. So the k just stays on the bottom, and then I reduce the 3's to the 1. I know that's kind of tricky, so if you have questions on that, it's okay. We can go over it tomorrow. This whole thing's my answer. If you're not super comfortable with the fraction part, don't worry. We got 3 more where there's going to be some fractions. I know you're super excited. All right. Number 6. We're going to write 1, 2, 3 fractions. So 4m to the 7th over negative 4m to the 5th plus 24m to the 6th over negative 4m to the 5th minus 16m squared over negative 4m to the 5th. Notice how I kept the negative on the bottom the whole time because then I can kind of check my signs. So if you have like a positive and negative, actually, let's do this. Sorry, my bad. So I put a plus sign right here and then a negative on top so then I know like I can just check the sign when I reduce my coefficients. So let's do the first one. 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. Okay. And then, let's see, I have 7 m's on top. I have 5 m's on the bottom. So I'm going to take away 5, take away 5. So I have negative 1 m squared. Same thing on the second one. 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. And then I have 6 m's on top, 5 on the bottom. So I'm going to take away 5, take away 5. I have 1 m left. Now, I know this one's a tricky one. Okay, I have negative 16 divided by negative 4, which is positive 4. Now, when we look at our m's, I have 2 m's on top and I have 5 on the bottom. I'm still going to take away the smallest one. So we're going to take away 2. So take away 2, take away 2. The m is on the bottom, so make sure m cubed stays on the bottom. And then remember, my math lab doesn't really like this one right here. So we do need to rewrite it to make negative m squared minus 6m plus 4 over m cubed, like that. We'll work on the fractions. It's okay if the fractions are still weird. Okay. So, all right, so we're going to write it all as, different fractions. 1, 2, 3 fractions. This one has a negative sign too, so be careful and just put some plus signs in there. So 3x to the 8th over negative 3x to the 6th plus 5x to the 7th over negative 3x to the 6th plus negative 6x cubed over negative 3x to the 6th. Alrighty. So reducing my coefficients in the front. So negative 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. Take away your smaller exponent. So I have x to the 8th and x to the 6th. So I'm going to take away 6 x's. Take away 6, take away 6. So negative 1x squared is going to be my first term. Second one, 5 and negative 3. Those guys, we cannot divide those. So remember, if you cannot divide, you're going to leave it as a fraction. So this is going to be plus negative 5 over 3. Don't worry, we're going to clean it up in a second. And then we can take away our smallest exponent still. So I have x to the 7th over x to the 6th, so I'm going to take away 6. So take away 6, take away 6. So since the x is on top, you can either put it on top with the 5 or you can put it next to it like that. It doesn't matter. Either way is totally fine in my math lab. I know this is the one we all love, okay? So plus, let's see, negative 6 divided by negative 3 is 2. Remember that the whole numbers always stay on top of our fraction. They do not move with the exponent, so do not move it with the exponent. Now I have 3 x's on top, 6 on the bottom, so I'm going to take away 3 x's because that's my smaller. So take away 3, take away 3. So x cubed is on the bottom. And then we just need to clean this up a little bit because my math lab doesn't like this answer. It doesn't want the negative 1. It just wants negative x squared. It doesn't want this guy. It just wants minus 5 over 3x and plus 2 over x cubed. Okay. We got one more. Okay. This one's not awful. It just has a lot of terms, but it's going to be okay. There's no more negatives on the bottom, so that's a plus. All right, so I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fractions. So we're ending on a tough one. So 3k to the 4th over 3k, sorry, 36k to the 4th over 3k minus 48 k cubed over 3k minus 30k squared over 3k minus 3k over 3k. Ooh, that one's going to be nice. Minus 23 over 3k. All right, one fraction at a time. So the first one, 36 divided by 3 is 12. And then I have 4 k's on top and 1 on the bottom. So I'm going to take away 1k, take away 1k. So k cubed. All right, minus, gotta do these guys now. 48 divided by 3, which is 16. So minus 16. Then I have 3 k's on top, 1k on the bottom. So I'm going to take away 1k, take away 1k. So k squared. Another minus. 30 divided by 3 is 10. And then I have 2 k's on top, 1k on the bottom. So we're going to take away a k. Take away a k. This guy right here, 3 divided by 3, different color. Uh-oh. Messing things up. Okay. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'm going to have a negative 1. And then k and k, I can take away a k, take away a k. There's no more k's, but I still need that minus 1 there because everything canceled. Do not put a 0. That is not what's going on. And then the last one. Negative 23 divided by 3. That is not happening. K is also not happening. Okay, so you have to, and I don't love this. This is technically your remainder. So you have to write it as plus, and then you have to put it in parentheses. Or I don't think you have to put it in parentheses, but you do have to make the negative 23 on top over 3k because it's like you're adding it on. It didn't divide evenly. And we're going to kind of talk about remainders a little bit more in 5.8, but that's how you're going to write your answer on number 8. And I know that's kind of funky. So if you have questions on that, feel free to ask me tomorrow. That is all I have for you right now. So yeah, if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a good day.